A very good evening, Zimbabwe. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America in Washington on Monday, February 27th, 2023. This is Live Talk. I am Gibbs Dube. Tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about election campaign rallies that have started in Zimbabwe ahead of this year's general elections. Intense election campaign rallies started in Zimbabwe on Saturday following the gazetting of electoral boundaries last week. The opposition is still crying foul over the manner in which the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission drew the boundaries, saying ZEC used a voter's roll which has not yet been unveiled to the public. The parties have also accused President Emmerson Mnangagwa of breaking the law in hanging the delimitation report. Despite these challenges, ZANU-PF spokesman Christopher Mtsangwa says the party has started revamping its structures as part of the electoral process. At the same time, opposition parties say their election campaigns have started even though they are being denied permission by the police to hold rallies. CCC claims that police have so far blocked 68 of their rallies and meetings nationwide since January this year. Police say they are merely enforcing laid down rules and regulations. It still remains to be seen if this will continue ahead of the crucial elections. President Mnangagwa has not yet proclaimed a date for the polls. The last elections were held in July 2018. Namhla Zulukandaba sixoxa ngokuqala kwemikhankaso yokhetho oluzayo. Amabandla aphosi wonke aqale imikhankaso yawo ngomgqibelo kulandela ukwethulwa kwemingcele emitsha yokuvota. Imingcele le yadwetshwa ikomishini yeZimbabwe Electoral Commission isebenzisa ugwalo olujulileyo lokuvota. EleZimbabwe lizaqhuba ukhetho lonyaka kulandela olwenziwa ngomnyaka 2018. And several parties were on the campaign trail this weekend. The leader of the Democratic Union of Zimbabwe, Robert Chapman, was one of the leaders who pitched his party's programs to the electorate in an effort to entice them to vote for his party.
We've actually been in and out of Harare, of course, it's the capital city. We've been doing interviews everywhere, so we've been here for quite some time. We knew Harare would bring a big crowd, and this is evidence that people are tired of the old political system. They're tired of the same old story, the same old jargon, and they're very excited that DUZ has come out and that the party exists for them and make sure they're delivering right results. So extremely exciting times for us.
Does this mark the beginning of, are you launching your campaign or you launch your campaign? Is this marking the beginning of your 2023 campaign?
Oh no, we're already in it. So the moment we had our press conference, I think it was December 10th, we started moving forward with that campaign. You can obviously clearly see that there was some groundwork that was done, as we have, of course, you've seen our structures in here, you've seen our coordinators in here. These are from Harare, some people have come from the neighboring provinces. So you can see that they've done a tremendous job. But yeah, we're in campaign mode.
Your message?
What do you think are chances in this election?
Very strong. If you look at right now the numbers that we're turning out for the time frame we've made our announcement, it's extremely high. You know, I saw the most recent poll, which I believe was the Brent Hurst Foundation's poll and survey, showed that we had a 33% awareness in the country, and we'd only been announced for 5 weeks. We had not even had our first meeting. So you can imagine now people seeing the numbers coming out. We've seen Bulawayo have been absolutely amazing. Masvingo received us extremely well. We've got great numbers in every single province, and of course we've seen here in Harare. So we expect to have a pretty good turnout in this coming election.
So what are your thoughts on the political environment right now?
I'm sorry?
What are your thoughts on the political environment?
Well, the political environment is the political environment. You know, I know that there's concern that we're going to see political violence, which has been historically there. So I don't think anyone can be surprised if we're going to find roadblocks. We're going to see escalation and rigging mechanisms. It's been the way, that's been our political system for a long time. I think the question we should be asking and what we should be looking at is, what are the solutions that we have in place to make sure that we have the freedoms and we're utilizing the Constitution? Because obviously no reforms were put in place. So we're going to work around the problems that we face. We are facing problems like any other political party, but of course as the numbers increase and they see essentially how impactful we're going to be, we expect more Spanish to be thrown in our campaign.
Supporters of the Democratic Union of Zimbabwe are backing Chapman, thinking that he may win the presidential election.
zvese zvauzvichinje kuwanikwe mabasa zvese Zimbabwe as a whole zvese zvemuZimbabwe hazvinomira zvakanaka zvinoda kuti zvinhu zvichinje
chii chinyuwani chamovimbira kuti vaChapman vachakupai chisingawanikwi kune mamwe political parties?
mabasa chakanyanyisa mabasa nekuti tiwane zvatinofanira kuwana sevanhu vari kurarama tirarame upenyu huri nani tisina kuoma sezvaukaita. Zimbabwe mune hati yeupenyu saka toda kuti izvozvo zvichinje.
Imi mabva kupi?
Abva kuchitumbuza.
Mune chigaro mubato?
Ndiri security.
Kuchitumbuza ikoko?
Yes. Mupana as a province.
Another supporter of the Democratic Union of Zimbabwe had this to say.
Chapman, tikuona kuti ramangwana redu vachatigadzirira zvakanaka. Tisingakaona mayuti handimukaona mayuti zvaari kuita vari kuya ini nhambasi zvikoro tidzidze tisiye dombo zvekudhakwatakwa kunyanya zvakadaro titi president vatisise vana vachitipa mabasa tisiye zvakaipa zvakashata zvese zvinoda muchiona president vedu
vamwe vanoti vanodawo vamwe vakaita sana Chamisa nevamwe. Imimi why muchida vaChapman?
vaChapman tinovada nekuti mwana wemumusha, mwana mudiki anoziva matambudzikiro atiri kuita. Nhasi redu neramangwana redu ndivo vanogona kutendesa mune ramangwana. Havapfeke masutu, havaite zviri lavishingi. Kusadzidza isati takudzidza, asi vaChapman vachatipawo kuti zvedu zveuhwindi tiregere tiito mabhazi edu nezvakadaro nezvo.
And Lamo Maduku, leader of the National Constitutional Assembly Party, is among people looking for votes. He has started campaigning ahead of this year's elections.
Building premises akakomberedzwa kudai building property NCA ndeyedu separty. Kune mapati mashoma ane mabuilding akadai anogara kuti panapa ndo NCA. Saka if tikada kutsvaga reason yekutanga ku-NCA kune party office, kutori ne-party property, kune kwekutoenda kwekunogara kana kurara kana kuti zvatinoda, tine party yakatosimba ine property yayo inonzi NCA building Bumbiro house. Hafungi kuti ngawamberera maoko izvozvo. Saka chekutanga ipapapa ndechekuti muchirungu we are an established party. Ukaona party ine head office inonzi panapa panonzi chi NCA. Apasi kurendwa panapa. Murubanza ndepechi NCA. Kana ungoremember NCA panapa ndechi ndepangu. Mukatenderera mechitsvaga mapati munotozotamba kuzwa kuti vane office here. Pane andataura yawo ari 3 yekutanga ZANU-PF vakasopa mari kudhara vakavaka head office yamuna inonzi kwai Jongwe house. Munoziva tichienda kuRotororo ndizvo. imba yaya vakaipiwa ngemachina mukatoona structure yebuilding racho rakashata haritombozikanwi kuti ndiani wakavaka building riyarari NCA pati yevanhu ino haungakombei ipati yakaba mari vakavaka building ravasingashandisi vanongopinda ipapo vachiti political vanoshandisa maofsechi ivavo vakatosiyana nesu asi vanofunga kuti vane party office imwe iyi yeMDC vari nozi harvest house haisi yavo ndeyedu tese patakatanga kuti akubvisa vana mugabe muri kubanzwa tese takati aiwa ngatimbonetsa vana mugabe tanga tiri kuMDC tikagadzira chi iyeya iofisi yavainayo yavasingakwanisi kuti ndeyedu ndeye munhu wese wakambosacrifica kutira kuti zvinhu zveZimbabwe zvidii zvifamba saka vakasiyana nesu ndizvoka ino yavo yakatosiyana pavari vari mukati metaundi panotonetsa kuti kusvika pane noise pane congestion hapabatsiri haungambokombei nepanapa hatitodzwananaka NCA pati yevanhu saka harvest house kutaurawo iri pakati petaundi hapana zviripo tadzwananaka CCC havana office NCA pati yevanhu.
Joining us right now to discuss this issue, we have Fatsai Mahere, interim spokesperson of the Citizens Coalition for Change, and Mr. Msongelwa Ndlovu of ZAPU, is the spokesperson of the party. We're still waiting for Mr. Tafatso Mgwadi of ZANU-PF. Let's start with Ms. Fatsai Mahere. Good evening and welcome to the program, madam.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, tell us a bit about what is happening in terms of your election campaigns. Have you started campaigning and what is going on briefly?
As President Nelson Chamisa said, when the CCC was introduced on the 24th of January last year, the entire by-election season was a campaign period for us while we were testing the ground. For the last year, we've been going...
Yeah, it seems, Ms. Mahere, it seems your phone has got some kind of echo. So we'll call you back in some few seconds after testing the phone because we feel that it has got a bit of echo. So we'll come back to you. I'll let our producers talk to you right now. So let's go to Mr. Ndlovu, Msongelwa Ndlovu. Msongelwa Ndlovu, kunjani? So tell us a bit about your campaigns because there are so many people that wish to join the show today. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, we started our campaigns sometime last year when we partook in the by-elections in some parts of the country and engaged our structures, built our structures, and the president has been busy on the ground, mobilizing people to join the party, to register to vote, and to vote ZAPU. We are going to be escalating our campaigns in the next month, March, and ensure that we cover as much ground as possible in preparation for the election.
So now, how is it going right now? We are told that some parties are being barred from campaigning by the police. How about you? We have been encountering a lot of undemocratic tendencies from state apparatus in some areas of the country, including Rwanda, where recently our campaign teams were arrested and later released without any charge. We have fortunately held some public meetings without any disturbances. But what we note with extreme concern is that democracy has, the cost of democracy has tripled since the so-called new dispensation because besides the violence and the closing of the democratic space by the new regime of Emmerson Mnangagwa, what we note with deep concern is the commercialization of democracy, where people who are supposed to be contesting at local government and at National Assembly, including the Senate, are supposed to be paying exorbitant amounts of money just to represent people. As ZAPU, we have made it clear before and we make it clear today. Hello? Yes, I can hear you. Katisa Konampo, Baba Ndlovu?
Yeah, exactly. We have made it clear before and today that the cost of democracy was sacrificed for, was paid for by the blood, sweat, and tears of our fathers who went to fight for our independence. We resist and reject in total the commercialization of democracy by making people's representatives to pay exorbitant prices gazetted by
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Ndlovu. Now I think we are rejoined by Ms. Fazai Mahere of the Citizens Coalition for Change. Ms. Mahere, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Now you are very clear. So go ahead, tell us a bit about what is going on in terms of your election campaign.
Thank you. As I was saying, the CCC was formed on the 24th of January 2022, and from the date of our formation, we hit the ground running. Last year, we had a by-election campaign season where we had almost 200 by-elections, and as you all know, the CCC won the majority of those. We've also been conducting mugwaz. We're going door to door to Chipinda Mamisha, Chirumadoroba, to Chipinda Mubanu, voter registration campaigns. We've been conducting rallies. We've been having small group meetings. We've managed to mobilize and penetrate rural areas, spreading the message of change, and the reception has been overwhelming. The citizens have embraced the news. The citizens are more than ready to vote overwhelmingly for President Nelson Chamisa so that we win big. Even if you look at the data and the surveys that are coming out, they're showing that President Nelson Chamisa and the CCC have a clear lead. So as we now march towards the actual election date, we're making sure that we sharpen all our tools, make sure that we've got all our internal processes sorted out, ensure that we've got candidates that come from communities. We're going to lay out our new Great Zimbabwe blueprint, which is our plan for progress for Zimbabwe. And all of this is with a view to meet our target, which is a landslide victory in the presidential election, a two-thirds majority in parliament, clean sweep in urban municipalities, and obviously majorities in the rural district council.
Now, looking at your campaigns, are you doing this taking into account that you haven't seen the voters' roll? And if you have not seen the voters' roll, it could seem as if the election result is very clear here. It will be ZANU-PF throughout. So why campaign at this moment?
The CCC has been the loudest voice throughout the country demanding electoral reforms, and our chief demand has been a demand for the voters' roll. We've mounted political pressure, we've engaged ZEC. Currently, we actually have a case that's pending before the court demanding that voters' roll. Now, obviously, we've got our own internal data that we go by, but the Constitution requires ZEC to do the right thing, which is to produce the voters' roll. Even when the delimitation report was being discussed, we continued to demand to ZEC that we see this voters' roll, because we don't want the situation where we've got another disputed election, because that will only cause mass suffering for the people of Zimbabwe. So we continue to demand that voters' roll. But at the same time, what the Nelson Chamisa has said is that the citizens, for our part, we have to make sure that we have everything in place. We're mobilized, we're registered, and we're ready to, vote and defend the vote big, so that when the voters roll comes out, we are not caught napping.
Yes, Nerurimu Ramai, why Musika boycott my elections?
This is just to boycott my election. Because we have to ZANU-PF those are ekusarisira. ZANU-PF yaifunga kuti zvayakatora Harvest House ikatora NDC Alliance vamwe ikadipola ma-MP nemakansila edu kuti pachazoshaya opposition muZimbabwe. Asi CCC yakaratidza kuti aiwa bato revanhu rinoramba riripo. Saka ZANU-PF ida kuti tiboycotte kuti tisazopinza mutungamiriri wevanhu President Nelson Chamisa isati kuzoboycota. Tinoramba tichifaitira, tichitsvagiriza, tichidhimanda voters roll kumatare, takaenda kuZEC, takaenda zvese ticharamba tichiita, asi kuboycota election hatisi kuzoboycota. Pari zvino tiri kutoita madoor to door, madzimai ari kupinda mamisha, vechidiki vari kufamba nevhip, hatisi kuzomira kumobiliza nekuorganiza vanhu vakuru nevechidiki vari kwese kwese kumachechi kwese kuti munhu wese ngaarejiste kuti anovhota uye kuti zobudikira musarudzo dziri kuuya.
Thank you very much, and stay on the line. We're going to come back to you. For those people that have just joined us tonight on Studio 7 Live Talk, we are discussing the issue of election campaigns in Zimbabwe. And for those that wish to join us, please note that you can join us on our Facebook pages, VOA Shona, VOA Ndebele, and VOA Studio 7. We're also live streaming on our YouTube, that is VOA Zimbabwe. Tonight on Live Talk, as I've said, we are talking about election campaigns. And now, so I think we've got a caller. Let's take a caller at the moment while we're looking for Mr. Tafoso Mkwadi of ZANU-PF and Mr. Joseph Chuma as well. So, caller, who is that on the line? Hello, caller, how are you? Hello, caller, can you hear me? I think we've got a challenge on that line. So let's go back to Baba Umsongelo. Hello, caller, are you there? No, I think we've got a challenge. Caller, are you there? Yeah, someone for it.
Nyaphila.
Yes, khuluma lobani?
Igama Mphumelelo Njo.
Yeah, Ndlovini. Akutsho phela ukuthi ezokhetho sibona njani okwenzakala eZimbabwe khona manje?
I-situation ngiyibhekile kakhulu but ngizwa ubuhlungu ngoba ngiyabona ukuthi ama-rally ebandla elikhulu i-CCC abawavumeli ukuthi bewayenze ngendlela abafuna abangathanda ukuthi bewenze ngendlela engakhona. So lokhu ngiyabona ukuthi space, democratic space has been squeezed. So lokhu ngiyabona ukuthi amathuba e-CCC uyawanindezela ukuthi bazakale ebantwini njengoba nje abakwazi ukuthi becampaign ngendlela abafuna ngayo. So ke kuyinto ebuhlungu le ngoba vele siyazi ukuthi le indlela iZANU-PF operator ngayo njalo mangibhekile i-CCC ayilalo indlela yokuthi ngacounter njani lezi imgobo efakwa iZANU-PF because le yinto esizaziyo lezo ukuthi iZANU-PF isebenza ngalezi indlela. So asazi njalo ngibona ngathi ukhetho lolu luzoba nzima kakhulu because mangibhekile njengoba ngibeka nje ukuthi democratic space is shrinking. So ngibona ukhetho lelo esibhekane lalo siyakulo luzoba nzima kakhulu. Ngibona kusibalo kulahleka kwempilo kakhulu, imizi ngashabalala ngoba noma ebeyincindezela i-CCC bayamazi uchamisa kancane abantu but ngibona ngathi ukhetho lelo luzoba nzima kakhulu.
Yes, sabonga kakhulu ke ungadinwa kusasa Ndlovini. Yes, so that is Mr. Ndlovu, one of our callers. Let's go back to Ms. Mahere. So, Ms. Mahere, if you can make an analysis perhaps on what is likely going to happen ahead of the elections. Do you foresee any cases of violence or, if there is violence, what is your party going to do? Is there any way you can defend yourselves?
Well, what is clear is that ZANU-PF can never win a free and fair election in Zimbabwe. Obviously, there will be cases of political violence because that's what ZANU-PF does when it's losing. We saw what they did. Vakanorova, Anasekuna Nambuya Vedu Kwamrewa, Vakarova Van Kumberengwa, Vakarova Van Kumatobo Kuisiza. ZANU-PF kana yakuchikiwa inoita zvekurova vanhu zvemhirizhonga. Isu setriple C takataura kuti isu tine ma-peace teams edu asi naizvozvo tinoyambira mapurisa veZEC veNPRC ngavaite basa ravo nokuti macitizens pabumbiro remutemo paconstitution panotaura kuti mapurisa anofanira kumirira munhu wese. Munhu akarohwa, munhu akapadzirwa mota yake, munhu akapisirwa imba, mapurisa anofanira kutora matanho. Nhasi rangarira zuva rakaurayiwa mbonini kuzali yekukwekwe gore rakapera. Zvinhu zvakadaro hazvifaniri kuti zviitike. ZANU-PF kana ichiti inosapoti yevanhu sei ichizorova vanhu, kana ichiti inodiwa sei ichizombunyikidza vanhu. Isu setriple C toziva kuti support yekuti president vasichamisa vachatohwina. Ndosaka ZANU-PF yakutya. Takanzwa vakuru vavo vachitaura kuti aiwa pisa dzimba dzavo varoesonozoita vanhu havachakwanisa kutonga.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mahere. Stay on the line. I think Mr. Temba Mliswa is calling us saying he wants to join the show. right now. We had actually invited him to be on standby. And then Mr. Joseph Chuma is saying we should call him on his 712 number. So let's try that 712 number. As I speak right now, Mr. Temba Mliswa is calling, saying, can you please bring me in? So hopefully we are going to get him before the end of the show. So Baba Ndlovu, ekugcineni khonapha nxa singakhuluma ngokuthi kambe kuhamba njani ku-camp yenu eZAPU. Siyawazi ukuthi lake lathwala nzima kudala ngama-1980s, khona manje lokhu elithwele nzima ngebandla elibusayo. Pho kulungiswa njani konke lokho kungela kudubulana phakathi? Baba Msongela.
Ibandla leZANU-PF belisungula la majaha balisungula ngeslogani ethi ZANU nderopa. Babengatsho bedlala, babesisho bebulala, ngoba uzakhumbula ukuthi kwaba le group yethwa ngabo William Dangana ngesikhathi sempi, babacobodisa, bababulala, babaqeda du. Abanye orugare gumbo bagcine besila behlaliswa emlindini. Laba abantu abazange beqale into zombangazwe bejonge ukuthuthukisa isizwe kumbe ukuthuthukisa abantu. Baqala ezombangazwe bejonge ukuthuthukisa izikhwama zabo lemuli zabo. They never had any plan for the country except for their families and their people. Khathesi after uZANU nderopa, khathesi bathi bona inotongwa nebene bayo. Batsho yena umnankakho labantu bakhe asebegcwele izikhwama ngemali lomnotho welizwe. Thina njengeZAPU saqala into lesiyenzela abantu. Saqhubeka ngo-1980 namaplans ayaziwa esathenga khona amaplazi senzela ukuthi sithuthukise isizwe, sithuthukise abantu baseZimbabwe. Okumqoka njengeZAPU esikutshoyo thina kuzulu wonke ukuthi siyazi ukuthi abakhokhela amaphoyisa, abakhokhela ibutho banengi abeZAPU. The most disciplined revolutionary army in Southern Africa was ZIPRA. And because of that, we have continued to call on all ZIPRA officers in government today to remain disciplined, to never be poisoned by the ZANU and ZANLA politics and turn our military people and turn our professional police people against the citizens. We are calling on them to remain resolute and loyal, not to a political party or individuals in government, but to the citizens, to Zimbabweans in general, so that we can deliver a free, fair and credible elections lonyaka. Kubaleke kakhulu lokho Baba Dube ukuthi abantu bezwisise ukuthi thina njengoZAPU siphethe ilegacy yeZAPU eka-1961, siphethe ilegacy yeZIPRA ekhokhelwa ngabantu
siyabonga Ndlovu, isikhathi isesedliwa nguMangoyi. Siyabonga kakhulu. Miss Mahere, your last word, 10 seconds. Your last word, Mahere, 10 seconds. Yes, your last word.
Yes, it was a triple seat no yambira citizens cannot vagari vose ngati nyorese kuti tinovhota munhu wese tairira kunyaya yemugwazo mazuva ari kuzotevera tichaita candidate selection tinenge takupinda muvanhu tichibvunzwa kuti ndida kutungamirirwa nani, saka garai makagadzirira nokuti mumajuly august pachangodaidzirwa kunzi election yako munhu wese kunovhota, nokuti kana president Nelson Chamisa netriple C yapinda tichaita zvikoro zvakanaka, zvipatara zvinoshanda, mari inotenga neupenyu hwakanaka semaZimbabweans.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of our show, and we're thinking that Mr. Tafasa Mugwati was going to join us, and Mr. Joseph Chuma as well, but unfortunately they were not reachable. So that was the scheme of things. But we wish to thank our guests this evening, Ms. Mahere, that is the CCC interim spokesperson, and Mr. Msongela Ndlovu, who is the ZAPU spokesperson. Signing off from Washington, this is Gibbs Dube saying good night, Zimbabwe.